morning to each one of you present over here. Vanakkam. Today in our midst, Professor E. Balagurusamy is here as the chief guest to inaugurate this year activities as well as the first program for the HRDC workshop on NEP 2020. What are all the future initiatives we are going to launch in our campus, and in a way we have to propagate to the entire nation. In our midst, our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor S. Mohan, Pondicherry Technological University is here. Our Registrar, Professor Rajesh Putani is here, and our former Director, Professor Venkat Raghuthaman is here. You are all witnessing with Professor E. Balagurusamy. He is presently the academic advisor to the Governor of Jharkhand and formerly Anna University Vice Chancellor. When this policy was introduced, immediately thought of how best possible way to communicate to the people. Now, we are also seeing the documents for the 66 pages, but he made it in a lucid way. Why this policy and how far we are capable of taking it further and how we can implement in our educational institutions. He made it in such a way with 57 pages. That document is given to you. This is the workshop what we are going to do for today. He will highlight some of the inputs, how our heads of the departments to take care of this initiative for the future activities. Based on the interaction with the heads of the departments and the deans of our university, we are going to prepare a policy document to send it to the University Grants Commission. You are all aware that there are 66 HRDCs are in this country. Only HRDC is given this privilege to conduct this workshop for the heads of the departments of the university. The idea is you have to give an input to the nation, then in turn we are going to have some sequence of webinars on this document. Whatever you are going to prepare and submitting to the UGC, on the same line we are going to launch webinars for this activity. That's why we requested our Professor Balagurusamy to come and inaugurate the program and give his input to conduct the workshop in a successful way. Our Professor S. Mohan is here. He is the Vice Chancellor, Pondicherry Technological University. He is our academic advisory committee member to give suggestions and implement the programs in our HRDC. We requested him to have his presence here. Being the first program, let him felicitate this occasion. And in our midst, our esteemed registrar is here to give the scope of the program. And our Vice Chancellor, after starting the selection committee, to come and join with us by 10:30. Then we will have the inauguration. Now may I request our Professor S. Mohan, Pondicherry Technological University, to felicitate this occasion.
Very good morning to all of you. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to share the dais with doyens like Professor Balagurusamy. In fact, I have become a Idaichergal now, so I was not originally in the program, but nonetheless, we are also started implementing this NEP 2020 in the coming academic year, and I am really very happy to participate in this program. But one thing that it is, I would like to tell, NEP cannot be, the fruit cannot be realized unless all the institutes or all the educational institutes implement. even the provisions of multiple entry and multiple exit cannot be implemented unless every institute follows. Otherwise, somebody who leaves from here and want an admission in Jharkhand, unless they have that provision only, then we can allow him to go. Otherwise, he will be in the lurch. So, my request is that we should make a policy that we have to implement this in most of the institutes at least, and unless we make that rule, I think if you go on requesting them to implement, it takes a lot of time. And finally, what are all we are implementing, it's only for the students to get the benefit, to the maximum benefit. And if we are not facilitating on that particular issue, I think it may be sometime only that I can proudly say that we have implemented, but unless all the other units that it is implemented, it may be very difficult, especially in the aspect which is a very good one of multiple entry and multiple exit. That's one. The second one which I would like to, even though the policy is very good, and we as Indians, we are very good in writing policies, document, planning, everything. But when the question comes for implementation, we really close our eyes. What I am telling as a point is that we have to, first and foremost, is that there should be an opening for every institute to allow the other students of other institute to come and take the classes or whatever if he is interested on it. I think I have been telling to government of Pondicherry also that please issue a circular that the cluster has been formed with everyone so that people can allow. Otherwise, if my student comes here, unless there is a formal permission in terms of MOU or in terms of agreement, nobody can go into somebody's as a guest without invitation. So that way, I think we may have to make a real announcement that the cluster is formed. So if one of the students from Pondicherry University wanted to study something on artificial intelligence and data science, I should be able to allow. And similarly, if they come here for Indian Constitution, we should be able to allow that, or psychology for the sake. If they want to study about it, we don't have the facility, but the students are much more interested on that particular one. So I think these things are initial steps which are slightly on the lacuna side, but otherwise I think NEP is one of the as a policy document, as he mentioned, but every teacher has to know about it. It is not that unless you know what is NEP and you can't implement it. If I am not convinced about what I am going to teach, I cannot teach very well. I can only say that I have been teaching you because my HOD has asked me to teach. But unless you have the passion for teaching, it may not be possible. So similarly, unless you are thorough with or enjoy the fruit of this particular NEP 2020, it may not be possible for you to take it further down the line to the students, and the students also should try. And this is like many places in NBA or OBE, we all talk about OBE. Normally the strategy in implementation in our country is the top person says and everyone follows, but without the proper at the lower level training. Okay, so I always look for a bottom-up approach, that we should all be clear about it and we should brainstorm that which is implementable, which is not implementable, and what will be the thing, how we can strategically adapt it and make a suggestion to the policy that these are all some of the lacuna that it is there, please try to implement or modify the policy according to this particular one. And this policy is not for only engineering college or university, or even it starts from the school. So that way, I think it is a very good policy, drafted very well, but I think the implementation, it is our responsibility. And every one of you take the responsibility on implementing in a very holistic way. It is not that it is not possible to implement exactly what it is there in the thing, but in a holistic way, if you think that the thing can be implemented in a very, the two things what I have said, that need to be implemented very quickly, and at least I was requesting Professor Gurmeet Singh that why not we have an MOU. First thing is that so that our students can come here and your students can come and take classes whatever it is needed if they wanted to have. I think that should be a model that we may have to take up. And also I wanted that the last point, whenever you attend a workshop, okay, so after the workshop, don't keep quiet. You are supposed to train another 30 people. Okay, that is a normal principle of any training. Okay, so if I train some one person, that person is supposed to train another 30 people. So that 30 again 30, so it goes as an exponential growth. So what we expect, or any training program, the trainee who become a trainer after the classes are over, you take the notes, whatever it is available or the information, don't keep yourself. Try to at least tell your colleagues or organize a conference or organize a program and then disseminate this information to many people. If not, at least to your students, have one day session and disseminate what you have learned. I think that is more important that it is we have to follow. First of all, let me congratulate UGC Center for organizing, taking up this particular one. And I know Professor Panch Ramalingam for a long time, that we have been working together when I was director of NITTR Chennai. So we have also, Professor also had a stint in, a very long-standing stint in NITTR Kolkata or Bhopal, am I correct? So you were in NITTR, am I correct? NITTR, you were there for some time. Yeah, right, Chandigarh, right. So that way, I think he is very famous not only on policy side, but also the computer books. I think that is one thing that all of you should appreciate. He has written so many books, so especially on the languages, which is even now every one of the student is utilizing it. I think that is a model that we have to learn from him. Whatever we teach, write a book and disseminate that to the students. Not only this batch, maybe future year, even if we are not there, your book will always be there to tell what you have learned. So I think that will be the model or the message also you have to learn from him. It is not very easy job to write a book, and write a book and which can be used by many people is not that easy. And the language what you are using, many things are important. I really thank you, Professor Balagurusamy, for making that effort to disseminate the information, and I'm sure that all of you are waiting for his thing. I don't want to be a stumbling block in between. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts on this NEP. Thank you and wish you all the best.
I must start by congratulating him to have started this year's academic programs in the HRDC with this kind of workshop, which I would say is very timely, and particularly for our university, when we are all ready to launch this with full force. And I should also take this opportunity to thank all those team members who actually have put a lot of effort in our university to come out with a quality qualification framework and the entire framework of implementation. As that's what Professor Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Mohan was also hinting, that ultimately implementation that counts. So let me start by thanking the entire team of our university faculty members, senior faculty members who have put together the document which would be ultimately our guiding document to implement this NEP 2020 in the university. So on the behalf of the university and all the stakeholders, I record my appreciation for them. NEP 2020, I think all of us are very familiar with, and some of the keywords are already being introduced, like holistic education, holistic in all manners. Flexibility is another keyword, I would say, where Professor Mohan was hinting on the mobility across the institution, but mobility is inbuilt in this document across the discipline as well. And that also brings the holistic aspect of this. If you look at this document of NEP 2020, of course, it looks fantastic because a student is now flexible to take courses from different wide variety of disciplines. Not only that, in its own curriculum, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary courses are also now built in. So in that way, it is an excellent opportunity for a student as an individual to explore all kinds of knowledge domains. And some of the knowledge domains, of course, would be aligned to his own personality, and that would probably channelize him to that particular direction. So that kind of flexibility is inbuilt now in this document. Not only that, there is a lot of autonomy that has been built in this particular document. Even though it looks like very rigid framework, you have to offer this many credits from this particular type of courses, like such many credits for the major discipline, minor disciplines, ability enhancement, skill enhancement, vocational courses. So it looks on superficially that you have to be very you do not have much of flexibility to incorporate the knowledge domain that you would like to incorporate. But if you look carefully, one would realize that it is the department and individual faculty members put together have to decide how do you classify a particular course. Whether it is skill development or a vocational course, it is up to you to classify. And there you have to put a lot of effort and a lot of brainstorming sessions you have to do to design such courses. So this entire document is actually the scope of this workshop, I would say, particularly in the afternoon session when you would be allowed to have the interaction with the people who were involved in this university framework preparation, then all this kind of brainstorming could be done. And that, I would say, is the very timely activity that Professor Pancharam Lingam and Director of Studies and other people in the guidance of Honorable Professor Gurmeet Singh, they have thought about. I would also say that given this flexibility, given this holistic nature of the policy itself, also brings out so many challenges, particularly those people who are going to implement it. And these, all of us, all the teachers, as he said, Professor Mohan also was telling, ultimately these are the teachers' responsibility to make sure that this is implemented properly. And in fact, this reminds me of a very famous quotation by Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. And he actually said this for the Constitution of India. When he was presenting the Constitution in the Constituent Assembly, he said this very categorically, that no matter how good a document or policy is, if it is not implemented properly, it is of no use. So ultimately, the foot shoulder, I would say all of teachers are going to be foot soldiers for this particular implementation of the policy. And that brings a lot of challenges on the scale of a teacher, on individual scale, as well as it goes at all the stages to the department level. All of we as HOD know what kind of challenges we have to face when we are going to implement this, and also at the institution level. Particularly, we all know these practical difficulties, the resource crunches. People would talk about when a student has flexibility to opt for the different variety of courses. Do we have so many classrooms? Do we have so many teachers? Do we have so many laboratory equipment? And of course, we have all those challenges. We have to accept them, and even then we have to make sure that whatever best way we can implement. And that is going to be, I think, very important part of our discussions during this workshop, that how best we do. One direction to this, one way to tackle such challenges has already been given by Professor Mohan, that if we pool our resources, now we cannot be very, limited to one department alone. Now we have to share our resources, human resources as well as infrastructural resources. Now we cannot be very possessive of our own, that, okay, I have a seminar hall, I'm not going to share with anyone. These things will not work anymore. We have to share, and in fact, if you have heard our Honorable Vice Chancellor, he has been telling this in different fora, that not only within the institute, across the institute, resources have to be shared. So this sharing, unless we implement in the right spirit, we are going to have a lot of challenges ahead during the implementation of this. So I would say that during this workshop, even this point also could be discussed, that how best, particularly human resources from teaching fraternity could be shared for offering certain common courses. And there are several common courses listed in this particular policy document that our university has prepared based on the NEP 2020. So several interdisciplinary courses, several common courses are going to be designed by different departments. So how best the resources could be shared among ourselves, that would be also, I would say, part of this the scope of this workshop. And finally, I would say that because I am asked to give the scope of this workshop, finally I would say that we have to have unbiased, uninhibited discussions as much as possible on various aspects of NEP, and policy documents you have all gone through. And I would also place my appreciation and thank to Professor Balaguruswamy, who has brought out a very nice, lucid book on this particular NEP 2020. So if some nuances which were still not very clear to someone, probably they can refer to this book. And no better person, in fact, no better person could be there today to inaugurate this particular workshop other than Professor Balaguruswamy, who was not only at the helm of affairs at the time of designing, but more importantly for disseminating the information, for disseminating the important points. And he has been doing it for various subjects. Now he has taken even initiative to disseminate the NEP 2020 related salient points, which he has brought out in a very nice book. So I am thankful to him also for being here today, for inaugurating this workshop. Professor Gurmeet Singh would also be very shortly be joining with us. So I would not take much time, as Professor Mohan also hinted that we are all eagerly waiting to hear Professor Balaguruswamy. So with this short introduction or scope of the workshop, if you may call it, I again thank Professor Pancharam Lingam and congratulate him for thinking about this workshop. And I also thank all of you for being here today, because all of us have to put our efforts together to make sure that we could implement it as best as possible. With that, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the input. Now this is the time to listen to our stalwart Professor E. Balaguruswamy. You are all aware that he appointed Professor as our APJ Abdul Kalam in Anna University as Professor of Emeritus, and he himself relieved him to take the presidency of the country. Such a way, he used to tap the people throughout the country, and today we are all blessed with his presence. May I request you, sir, to deliver the inaugural address.
Good morning to everybody. Professor Morgan, Registrar and Director HRDC, and my fellow faculty members, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great day for me today to be here to talk on NEP 2020. I think the university is not, I'm not the first time visiting, I'm visited a number of times this university there, a number of occasions I spoken to faculty here. But it is an occasion to talk on NEP 2020. I was delighted when he was invited me that we are going to implement NEP 2020. I was absolutely delighted. I told, yes, I will come all the way from Coimbatore. I came here only to talk to you on NEP 2020. Of course, NEP 2020 has been going under a lot of controversies all over India. Even though it has been launched more than 2.5 years back, but still the implementation, as Professor Morgan rightly pointed out, has not been taken with the right sense actually. Some governments are opposing, some political parties are opposing, but to my opinion, this document is not a political document. Any policy document of a government of India is never a political document. Whichever government is there, you have to produce a document. Is that the first document on national education policy? This is almost the 7th document. If you look for 1948, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan Commission was there, and then Kothari Commission was there, and then A.L. Mudaliar Commission was there, lot of them. The last one was 1986, before this, when Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister, but the unfortunately it's not implemented. Only when Narasimha Rao became a Prime Minister, he started implementing with the modifications. 1992, he started implementing it. I think Professor Mohan was absolutely correct when he told about implementation of it. Even 1948 policy, none of them are implemented, except few things here and there we taken it. Similarly, Kothari Commission, Mudaliar Commission, all commissions, not implemented. Whatever the recommendation there, the government of the day took whatever they want, Whatever convenience for them, they took it, and remaining they ignored it, and that is the pity of this government, the state of affairs in India today. Any policy is meant for the people actually. It's not for the political party, not for the government, it's for the state government, it's for the people actually, So they have to implement it. A commission spends a lot of time, More than 10-15 of experts spend more than 2-3 years of together, putting a policy together, immediately throw it in a dustbin. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's what happened to all the policies up to now. In between there are Yaswal Commission, Knowledge Commission report, lot of them came, Sampitoda Commission was, Knowledge Commission was there, everybody, government puts a commission there, but none of them have been implemented full extent actually. And that should not happen for NEP2020 also there. Because this document produced after more than 35 years, almost every 10 years you should have a policy, because the technology changes, science and technology changes so fast, industry changes. Technology changes, industry always changes. And education has to change along with that. Education is meant for the industries, meant for the society, We do not produce graduates in isolation. We produce graduates for the society, for the industry. So we have to align ourselves with the changing science and technology and changing industries now. Today we talk about fourth industrial revolution, fourth IR. Similarly, we talk about the education 4.0, which is aligned with the fourth industrial revolution there. Many of us do not know what is in education 4.0, why is 4.0. Many of us do not know what is fourth industrial revolution there, what is the impact of fourth industrial revolution there. We have seen first, India miserably failed. We have seen the second industrial revolution. Again, India did not participate properly. Third industrial revolution, computer revolution, electronic revolution, which I am part of it actually from 1950 started there up to 2010. I was completely part of third industrial revolution, but nothing happened in this country there. Again, we missed it, the third industrial revolution there, IT. Even though I have written more than 45 books on IT, today I feel so sad why I wrote those books actually, All these boys and girls studied books and went abroad and settled there. None of them did anything for this country back, I feel so sad about why I wrote C++. When I meet somebody in the airport, sir, manakam sir. Sir, I studied your book. Where are you? I am settled in New York, sir, London, sir. I feel so sad to hear that, I am not happy about that. But we do all our effort only to make our Indian youth to get not competent and do something back to the India, That is what is missing today in this country. We have just completed 75 years of independence. Where is India today? Why we need a policy today, educational policy there? After all, policy is a document, gives a guidelines, milestones for achieving certain targets. That's a policy. Any policy there, economic policy, technology policy, science policy, education policy, all of them set certain guidelines. We have a target, by 2030, 2040, India will achieve these things in science, technology, all that. How do you do that? We have a policy document, gives a milestones, guidelines to achieve that. That is about NEP20, nothing more than this. It's not a political document, So it is what all about education, but the document NEP20. Why do we need India need a policy there? See, India is a large country, more than 30 different states, you have 30 different languages, cultures, economic differences, you know. You know, I have been advised to Jharkhand governor on education related matter. I have been there. I came only about 3 days back to here. Jharkhand is the bottom of the list of states in terms of educational development, economic development, everything. India is, Tamil Nadu is supposed top 3. It's a controversial 1, 2, 3 is a controversial. Among top 3 we can put Tamil Nadu in most of the indicators. But education, where Tamil Nadu stands. In number of GER, we are 54 point something Tamil Nadu. Highest in India and the world average. We reached the world average of GER. Absolutely delighted. How do we define the quality? I think people like us have been debating last 100 years quality of education, seminars, internal conference quality, but still we are not very clear what is the quality of education there. It's very difficult to define a quality of education, both in school or higher education there. Maybe you can define in terms of employability, in terms of student behavior in public, in terms of how they behave, how they do, how they treat themselves in the public and how they get employed, how do they contribute to the socio-economic development of the country. These are all indicators for which we can design the quality of education there. Now 75 years of independence, where is India stands today? That's what I come to know, why we need a policy there. Where is India today? Human development index, all of you know. 131 out of 180 countries. All of you know about human development is one of the important indicators of a country to make in any country a developed country there. Human development index is only 3 important contributions of human development index. One is education. Educational achievement of country in terms of school education, higher education, all put together educational achievement. The second is healthcare. And third is per capita income. These 3 put together is known as a human development index. All countries we have that. And that should be an important indicator for a country to be declared as a developed nation or not. We should go up to 50, 130 to 50. I don't know when it will happen there. Maybe in your time, in my time, it won't happen there. Please remember, India has got all kinds of resources. Name a national resource India has got. We have a human power, technology powers, mathematical power. We have a technologist. We have a software engineers. Why? Why we are not able to achieve anything in terms of development? One of the reasons given by the study, internal study was, there are a number of 10 reasons given that. The first reason is lack of educational achievements. It's not handing out degrees, not education. Please remember that. Even GER is, today India is 27 average. Indian GER is about 27 today. We are double. Tamil Nadu is a double. Maybe Pondicherry is maybe the same number. I don't know about Pondicherry state as such. We are absolutely, number is, we are double, but doesn't mean anything great about it. The quality. What is it our graduates are able to do there? Employability. Okay, quality of education can be designed to employability, entrepreneurship skills, and then is ethical and moral values of the youth they behave in that. This is more important thing there. Because moral values can be only done in the school education, not at the higher education there. It's too late. No? That age is too late to change behavioral pattern of an individual there. So India really needs a policy because the lack of education system and 70 years today, per capita income now. Human development is one is education. Okay, per capita income. Where does India stand today? 11 years back, China, India were the same per capita income, almost. Some economics professors may be knowing it. Maybe slightly different. About 11, 12 years back, we have the same per capita income. Today, China is 12 times more than per capita income India. Can you imagine 12 times more means that life, standard of life, the quality of life, certainly better.
Good morning, friends. I'll begin with an apology that I got late for reasons which were beyond my control. But then, as I said, all HRDC programs that we conduct, I make it a point to be here. I try to be here during the inaugural program and as well as during the last day when we do the valedictory. Because I am of the opinion that if you have to spread what we are doing, I think HRDC is the best place from where you have to begin and where you have to end. So esteemed Professor Bala Guruswamy, our Professor Mohan, then HRDC Director Sir Panch Ramlingam, and above all our Director Registrar Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, and all other colleagues. In fact, these colleagues are very important because they are all heads and deans sitting here, and they are the ones who have to carry forward our message. If you look at this, so Bala Guruswamy is the youngest of the lot because you all have some other color here. He is the one who's got jet black. So that will highlight about the kind of enthusiasm he has for all kinds of things. And I jocularly always tell, when you start as a lecturer, you're very fond of giving lectures. You enjoy giving lectures, and when you become readers, the equivalent is different these days. You like to read in addition to lectures. But when you become professor, you only profess, you neither read nor lectures. And Professor Bala Guruswamy has reached a stage above Vice Chancellorship where he is advisor to the governor, where you advise and don't bother after that. Whether it is carried out or not, you do your job, advise and come out. That's it. And that's why rightly he's written a book, NEP in a nutshell, and I added a word for the nuts. Whether you read it or not, and I have my doubts whether anybody would have read it. Unfortunately, that's a sad scenario which he was highlighting here. That despite some of the good things, people have not bothered to carry it out in a right direction. That's what he was trying to highlight when I was, whatever little I have listened to that. As I said, I consider HRDC as a very important platform for carrying our message through in terms of what we are doing. And whenever there is any program here, I always come and tell people that this is the platform where when you spend 21 days in a particular course, you discuss and you find out what are the best practices being followed at different places, and that's what you try to follow in your own place. With this kind of discussion, word of mouth, you do carry out improvements, and that is what has happened in our country also. And that is where, whenever I get a chance and wherever I get a chance, I highlight to the persons to be that it is a very important program. Don't discontinue it. They are thinking of shelving it completely. They have reduced from 1 month to 3 weeks to now 2 weeks. It's a very important program which tells everybody, because in a far-flung course, far-flung area, people don't get a time to look at the latest in these subjects. And when there is a course like this, you listen to some of the best minds and you find out what are the latest in your own subject. At least you get a pilot's view of what is happening in that subject, and that is where you also think of improving and try to follow whatever else is being done. So this is important. The importance of this cannot be undermined, let me tell you. Whatever people may think, ultimately they'll revert back to that. We have tried all kinds of permutation and combinations in our education. Ultimately, we have come back to our age-old conclusions, which I have been highlighting all the time, that you cannot beat blackboard and chalk teaching. This online or all kinds of methods which are being adopted, they are only an aid to the age-old system that we have. Yes, you can have some system where you can project data, you can project complicated figures, but nothing to beat when you stand here and teach the students through eye contact. In online, you are barely able to make out who's with you and who's not. People just switch on and then go to sleep. ultimately, maybe 5 years from now or whatever time we'll find, it is going to be an absolute failure. So this is the highlight. And I decided to come here despite whatever busy schedule we always have, that this is a workshop on future initiatives for NEP 2020. There is no doubt NEP 2020 has been a wonderful initiative. Some of the things that we were trying to initiate during the last 2 decades, we could not do it, has been included. They have been included in this policy. 2 things I'll highlight. I'll not spend much time on this. One, that the formative education has to be in mother tongue. It cannot be undermined. Whatever original thinking comes to us, wherever we are, whatever language we study in, it comes to us in our mother tongue, and then we try to put it into our own ideas wherever, whatever way we do it. And the second best initiative has been that there is going to be a skill-based strengthening of whatever you're doing. One may be an electrical engineer, but when we tell him to put a fuse in our system, his hands will start trembling. One may be an excellent mechanical engineer, but when you give him for a minor fault in the mechanics, he falters. So this is what is called the value-based education, which has not been there so far, and that is where there is a greater initiative on skill development. And I decided to come here because this is a meeting for the heads. I have been all along emphasizing to all our heads that please have a meeting with all your departmental people and try to develop some skill-based courses. Now, some heads have come to me that I'm in Hindi department, I'm in Sanskrit, I'm in philosophy. What skill do you expect me to develop? There are a lot of skills which one can develop, let me tell you. To give you a short example, I see the Sanskrit head. When we do certain ceremonies, certain pujas, we call some Brahmin or Panditji. You all have been doing this. Have you ever bothered that Panditji or Brahmin or whosoever comes in, is he qualified? Is he doing it properly? Neither we have the skill to judge, nor the person who is delivering has ever done anything. No, I'm just giving you one example. Why can't there be a 3 weeks or 3 months course on a Panditai? The person who knows what are the values of our ancient philosophical culture, so that we are able to impart right values to our youngers. Right now, who does it? Nobody knows. It comes from generations. My father was a Pandit, therefore I am there. My father used to be in Gurdwara, I am there by virtue of that. No religious proper qualification. This could be one of the skills. Hindi, any subject you take, there can be 3 to 6, 8 months, 9 months, 1 year skill-based courses, which will add value and strength to our educational system. This is the underlining highlight of our NEP 2020, which people are not understanding. They are thinking we have to do this, book writing. You would have all read it. Teaching of science and engineering and medical books in our mother tongue. People are echoing this. Have you imagined that, yes, in a country like Korea, in a Japan, in these countries, they give examples. They have studied in their language, why can't we? Yes, I'm not criticizing, I'm just giving you our own limitations. There, it is only Korean language throughout Korea. In Japan, it is all Japanese. In my country, I have 28 states. In Tamil Nadu, if people will understand in Tamil, okay, we have these scholars who will translate books very fast. There is a program which is called Anumodhani, by which in half an hour you can translate all our books. So we will teach them in Tamil. When they move across 400 kilometers to Andhra, it will be in Telugu. Then move across, it will be in Malayalam, Kannada, Gujarati, Marathi, Punjabi. So will we be able to do what we have done now? Till now, no. This part is what we have to look at. Yes, you teach, but look at whether you will be able to do what Koreans or Japanese have done it. So we need to go slow. And that translation which has to be done has to be a very thought over, very well researched process. Don't do it in a hurry. There is a book on anatomy for medical students. Masterpiece. Unless it is translated in the real spirit of this, probably we will not be able to carry out our mission in the right manner. So I decided to come here to tell our heads that there is a lot of scope in all your subjects where short-term skill-based courses can be designed, and people are working on it. Some people have done it. The courses, the advantage will be let's say you have designed 5 skill-based courses. Anybody who comes, he does those and earns 4 points on everything. So 4 into 5, 20. He adds on to whatever number is required for graduation or master's degree. By the time you do that, you will have enough skill to strengthen your subject knowledge. That is what is needed, and that is what has been neglected. There is a graduate student in English, there is a master's student in English. When we tell him to write a request letter for something, when I read, I get a headache, let me tell you, because there will be 20 mistakes, and he says, sir, I have done 10 MAs, English, Sanskrit, everywhere I've come across such biodatas. So what is the use of all this? Therefore, we need to strengthen, and NEP is the right platform. It has come after a gap of about 34 years or so. We need to take it forward in a right spirit. Rather than criticizing, we need to take the positive side of it so that it is strengthened for the benefit of our society. So that it is going to strengthen the deprived class or the less fortunate class of our society, so that they develop enough strength and get into their own endeavors, get into their own professions. If somebody puts a puncture on the roadside, he should also be qualified. I'll wind up with one example. I was traveling in a country, in a lake in Zurich, and I found on the deck, I was alone, way back in 1981, I was a young lecturer. I had an old camera, and I found that there are 2 Americans who were taking photographs. I just stood near them and heard what they were talking about. They were talking about the state of world economy and what are the reasons for poor economy in 1981, I'm telling you. Those 2 Americans, one was a celebrated economics professor of Stanford University, and the other was a carpenter in the same city. Imagine a carpenter and a professor of economics discussing world economy. When I talked to them, and they were discussing, both were equally proficient, I was surprised. When I talked to them after that, the carpenter said, I had always a fancy for carpentry because my family profession is this, but somehow I could not afford the higher education. So I had to discontinue number of times, and I did what this economics professor has in 20 years. But after 20 years, he says, I have also made enough money which he doesn't have. But I have all the skills which he has. And that economic professor said, I don't have that much money which he has. He owns a lot of furniture stores. But whatever I'm discussing, he knows, because he's a very widely read person. That kind of a skill is required in our country also. We have a huge man force, but what we need is this kind of a skill. Why should a particular class be deprived? They should know everything which is possible. So that I was imagining whether we will ever be able to get back to that scenario or not. Over the decades, when I was developing my own and moving up the ladder, I realized this is the stage, NEP, where you are not able to afford, you leave your studies, go out. Your bank is there, your account is there, this is what you have done. Earn for 5 years, come back. Do something else, develop something else, go back and come back. Ultimately, this is required to develop our society in a manner so that everybody benefits out of this. Right now, some classes are benefiting. A poor farmer sitting in the village is not able to bring their children up to the level we are doing it. So there has to be an equitable thing which will be possible only through this. Ultimate idea is to improve and to make a place which is worth living. That will be possible when everybody gets good opportunities. Move out, come back, develop. If you like music and you have not been able to get into that, leave that, take music as one of the subjects. There is a wide choice there. That is the highlight of this, and this is what we need to encash on. This is what we need to move on, and this is what all heads and deans who are here. I'm happy that HRDC has taken this initiative, though a short one, but deliberate that, develop some good skill-based courses to strengthen our own education system. Just with one sentence, for the benefit of society in and around, so that they come up like good citizens, which everybody has a right to become. Some have not for a different reason, but now is a chance wherein we have to play an effective role. Rest of the things, contractual teachers, society, GDP, all those things are being looked into, and don't be depressed. We are capable of coming up of the ages, and we will do it. Everything is being looked into. We all know, I'm conducting interviews when I talk to people, brilliant foreign qualified people who come back, and we tell them, where are you teaching? Sir, Adya College, Manakula Vinayak College. This I'd never seen in Delhi University. If somebody joins any college and serves for 7 days, full salary up to the stage of paisas are given. Here when I talk to them, I feel very depressed. Beautiful, wonderful, intelligent, qualified people. Sir, I'm in this college. How much do you get? 20,000, 13,000, 10,000. I said, how do you manage, sir? Pondicherry is a place, 3,000 also is good enough. Well, it's good enough, but look at the kind of exploitation that we are doing to the system. That we need to come up. And do you think those who are paying 15,000, 20,000 are not capable of paying 1 lakh to these people? They are very well doing it, but what they are doing is they are amassing wealth. And who is responsible? I leave it with a big question mark. We all need to ponder over it. We need to think over it. But look at the constructive side of what we are doing here. Make best use of this and put it to the use of society. Then we'll be where we want it to be. Thank you so very much. I'm grateful to all of you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the blessings as well as the presidential address for this workshop. And now this is the time to have one more item. Our university librarian, Professor Vijay Kumar, has created the QR code for accessing the books in the library. May I request our esteemed Vice Chancellor to release it.